Tonight, Arkansas's only surgical abortion clinic remains open after a state judge blocked a new law last week restricting abortions. The facility was set to close within a month under a new Arkansas law requiring doctors performing abortions be board certified. An Eastern District judge blocked 2 other abortion restrictions.
And joining us now for more is Melanie Israel with the Heritage Foundation. Melanie, good to have you.
Great to be here.
Before Democrats took back the gavel of the House, the House was, the GOP-controlled House, was the most pro-life House that we've seen in a long, long time. Where do things stand now?
You know, right now, I think we have to be realistic. We're in an era of divided government. There's a very energized pro-life minority in the House, a very energized pro-life majority, a narrow one, in the Senate. But we also have a very committed pro-life president who's threatened to veto anti-life legislation should it reach his desk. So there is a bit of a firewall there, but at the same time, members of Congress have to be very aware that there are some very real threats to life, to conscience rights stemming from the House.
The states, Melanie, is where we've seen some of the biggest successes. Is it wrong for those who might question how much a divided Congress really matters now?
You know, I think right now the reality is most of the action is going to be happening in the states. And I think a lot of that stems from the fact that we've seen some very extreme pro-abortion legislation passing in places like New York. Illinois, and at the same time, we've seen some very pro-life legislation coming out of states like Alabama, Georgia, Missouri. And so this debate is raging. Far from settling the abortion question in 1973, it's become a much bigger thing in the states.
You know, a lot of these states, a lot of the focus is on the late-term abortions. Have you seen a shift in the perception there as we've seen, you know, more details come out and more reporting on what late-term abortion is?
Exactly. I think there's several things. First of all, we know that as far as late-term abortion goes, there is consensus agreement in this country regardless of political party. Americans are not in favor, by and large, of late-term abortion regardless of how they identify politically. So let's be realistic. This is a consensus issue, first of all. But also, I think culturally speaking, for many Americans, their first picture was taken when they were still in the womb. The first time they saw their little brother or their little sister was when that sibling was still in the womb. We have all of these wonderful scientific advancements, babies being born more and more prematurely and surviving and thriving. And so when people see that it would still be legal for that child to be aborted, it just doesn't match up with what we know based off of our own experiences.
All right, Melanie, thank you so much for joining us from the Heritage Foundation.